right inside and throws it down. Hard, a three-pointer. Josh Hart from downtown. Brunson wide open. Jalen Brunson ties the game.
Welcome back to Knicks for Clicks. My name is Rami, Lavi. That's Bryce, Gelman. You said it during the live yesterday. Could this be as fun as beating the Celtics by 40? I don't know if it beats beating the Celtics, but that domination last night, winning by 51 points and being up by more than 60 at times, some of the scores, if you're going on Twitter, you see the screenshots of all the scores and people taking pictures of the score bug throughout the game were hilarious. This is as fun as it gets as a Knicks fan.
It was outrageous. Euphoric. I don't know what other words and adjectives to use as to how that felt inside. You know what I mean? Like, it healed like part of my inner child. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that so much suffering and so much disrespect and so much depression, I guess you could say, when it comes to our fandom related to the Knicks. For that to happen last night, pretty good. If you're listening, listening and not watching, I'm putting my thumbs up. Good. Pretty
At the very least, it heals the ills of games 2 and 3. And it's so funny because, yes, we talk about Knicks for Clicks. We talk about seesawing. We talk about back and forth fans' takes. But at the same time, and they said it themselves, Mike Brown said it after the game last night, they felt like they had a wake-up call in game 2 and 3. And they came out as a different team the last 3 games. And with every game, the last 3 games, the Knicks improved. And now you just hope the Knicks keep the pedal to the metal and they just keep the foot on the neck of whoever they play next, because if the Knicks play like this, no one's beating them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that is what obviously we didn't expect that type of performance, but that is something that was expected in terms of how well that team played with cohesion. Defensively, it was one of the best games I've ever seen. They were just as impressive on the defensive end as the offensive end. But it's something that a lot of people had in mind when the Knicks were the favorites to win the Eastern Conference at the start of the year. They expected all of the talent on the Knicks to be unlocked in some way. Maybe not in a way that could catapult them into winning a championship, but in a way that could help them reach the finals and, who knows, potentially win it. What we saw last night is a reflection of that. It was all of, our hopes and dreams being unlocked at a level that none of us could have truly imagined, Rami. And there's what else could we say? What else could we sit here and talk about? The Knicks won. They won huge. They were flawless on both ends. OG Anunoby played one of the most efficient basketball games you will ever see. Jalen Brunson was amazing. Even Mikal Bridges got his run.
Your guy.
In that second half. There was no downside to that game. None.
Yes. So, and credit to Mike Brown, because this team was unlocked in a way, defensively and offensively, that, yes, sure, maybe we hoped for prior to the season, but I don't know if any one of us anticipated after game 3. So shout out to him. We have a great guest coming up, so I want to get to that. It's a fun one.
I don't know. Alex.
Mediocre guest coming up?
Depending on who you ask, a great guest. I don't really know.
Well, at the very least, a big name in Knicks spaces. That's Knicks Central, Alex B, coming up in a minute. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk about the Knicks blow. We'll talk about who we want to see next and everything going right for the Knicks right now. It's a fun day in Knicks land. Knicks for Clicks. Coming back with Alex B right after this. All right. We often talk about the cesspool that is Knicks Twitter. We have someone who's made it his life. Alex B from Knicks Central. You are the cesspool. Welcome to the pod. Thanks for having us, or thanks for coming on.
I clear the cesspool. I clear it, though, And I got actually named this podcast, indirectly, by the way. Did you know this?
Yeah, I told Bryce about this. You told me this, and I don't believe it for a second. You say
look it up. Ask people.
So I don't know whether or not we can believe
Ask around. Say Knicks for Clicks. It was
what I did say is you definitely exemplify it as much as anyone.
Yeah, your track record isn't great with this, so I'm gonna.
That's all good.
Sure,
I appreciate that.
Word here. Yes.
Well, at least for today, we can all get along, because last night, what is there to say? We kind of tried to say it at the beginning, but perfection And can the Knicks keep this going? Was this an Atlanta Hawks thing, or is this the Knicks finally unlocked something we've been waiting for 85 plus games?
I think you nailed it at the end of that. Excuse me. I think you nailed it at the end of that. I think they came into the Hawks series think that they could just cruise. And in game one, they sort of cruised. It was a little tough in the beginning, I think, and then they cruised. But then game two, like they just started playing with their food a little bit. They came out game two and they started beating them again, and then all of a sudden they lost it at the end. And then, game three, the Hawks were super confident, playing above their talent level, and CJ McCollum was playing out of his mind. And I think the Knicks just were like, yeah, okay, we got to really lock in here. This is not going to be easy, even if we're way more talented than them on paper. Like, this is not going to be easy. Teams aren't just going to bend over and die to, and bow down to us. So I think they realized that, we have to play hard in these games, and they did. And I think they just took it away. And I think they're just going to steamroll now. I mean, obviously the Celtics will be tough, if they play the Celtics. I'm not going to lie there. That's definitely going to go 6 or 7. But the Sixers, I mean, if they play them, it'll be tough. Like even Clyde said on the broadcast last night with Maxey and Edgecombe, that's going to be tough, especially with Bryce's favorite player, Jalen Brunson, playing defense. But at the same time, like, will it really be that hard? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know. And, we'll see what's going on with the Pistons, and the Cavs who are having dogfights in their series, so I don't know, man. It's hard to not be positive and to see the sea parting, like for the Knicks to get to the finals. I mean, and dare I say, do it all. And I've been saying it all year that I think they can. And I'm just, I really thought that the regular season, they just took their foot off the gas and they were cruising. And they thought they can cruise in the playoffs, and they realized they couldn't. And now they're like, oh, my God, this is us now. They found their formula.
Yeah, I mean, those first 3 games, specifically games 2 and 3, which obviously you mentioned, it did seem like they were playing with their food, but it also seemed like they didn't really go in with an offensive game plan. And we heard Mike Brown last night in his post-game presser. He said a few things regarding, like, the offensive plan, and we were forcing things. And essentially, I'm not going to say that's a shot at Jalen Brunson. It was more or less like we did not have anything going in. Like, it was just give the ball to Brunson, let him work. That's what worked last year. Tom Thibodeau allowed that. Everyone else enabled it as well. And the players clearly weren't too happy with that. That's why they kind of forced Tom Thibodeau out. And then you saw it earlier on in the year where Mike Brown was allowing it too. You saw Karl Anthony Towns not playing well. It was extremely inefficient because of this and was complaining and bitching and moaning. And it felt like the second they made that shift of giving the ball to Cat and allowing everything to run through him, and it's still allowing Jalen Brunson to get his run. It's still taking, 15, 20 shots a game. He's still the focal point of the offense. But the idea of Karl Anthony Towns at the elbow, at the top of the key, changed everything. Alex, I guess my question for you is, how impactful do you think that change was?
Oh, tremendously. You have 2 superstars. You have Jalen Brunson as a superstar and Towns as a superstar. Use them both. You know what I mean? Why use Towns as a decoy? He's in the prime of his career, and he's a great passer. And, sometimes he's a little nonchalant with them, and it pisses me off, or he's like throws it with the one hand, and I'm like, bro, just pass the ball. But, he's an incredible passer for a big man, and he can shoot. So he's like such a weapon that can't be compared to a Julius Randle or any other kind of player like him in the league. And, so I do think that change helped, and that showed why they got rid of Tibbs, because Tibbs would not have adjusted. Like, I think Tibbs got railroaded. I think he shouldn't have been fired. I think we all can, with in an honest moment, we can agree.
They just won by 51 points last night, so let's not focus on that right now.
No, I'm not focusing on it, bro. I'm just saying, like, I'm making the comparison.
You're trying to create controversy. We get it. We understand. We're just going to
trying to okay.
Hey, he's getting us the clicks. Just let him do his thing.
I'm giving you a fact.
So.
The facts are
Thanks, Alex.
that with Tibbs, he wouldn't have changed his mind. I didn't think they should have fired him. But now with Mike Brown, he is there and he knows his role with this organization. My job is to win a championship. And here's how we get there. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, here's the exact quote. Here's the exact. Sorry to cut you guys off. The biggest thing is we had to change our offense. Again, and this is from Mike Brown. Again, not as drastic as we probably did halfway through the year, but we had to change it because every possession was a grind those first 3 games, especially down the stretch. You understand why it was a grind. You understand it was one player going head to head with one of the best defenders in the NBA every single possession. They're trying to generate switches. And as I've said multiple times on this podcast, there was no team in the NBA worse at generating switches than the New York Knicks. So it wasn't working. It was Brunson on Dyson Daniels, and clearly it didn't work. And then
Yeah, and they were only
changed it up.
setting one pick, and they were doing every play was setting a pick to get Dyson off and do a switch, and it wasn't working. And I even posted on my account at Knicks Central on Twitter that like they need to do that double drag and get the 2 picks, like and it worked. like they actually did it. Like so, I was just very happy that I was able to predict something right for once. And
But you didn't post it, so we don't really know for
what?
sure.
I didn't post
You
it.
didn't. You said you didn't post it.
I did post it. No, I'm saying
You
that.
did.
Oh, did I? I posted it.
You just did.
Whatever. I don't know. I'm tired, man.
Backtracking already.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's up with you, man. You're coming at me hard, but it's all good.
Listen, I'm just giving it back. You know what I mean? Controversy creates cash, right?
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. I understand. You're a Mom Donnie guy. You love him. And
I would have put the over under at 5.5 minutes, and I think the over.
That's why you're coming at me, man. Don't play those.
Yeah, that's the only reason. No other reason. Yeah, just that.
No, me and Bryce are boys. I mean, we've been recording podcasts together for a long time, and
we talk about the Knicks for a second.
What? Yeah,
we can get away from your guys' little squirm and talk. So
we love each other. It's a brother kind of thing. So it's all good.
Yeah, I could tell it's a little steamy, but all right.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say steamy. I don't know about that. Maybe something else. Steamy. What's that supposed to mean?
Pause. The meme that's been going around with we have Jokic at home. Mm-hmm. Did you know that that's how good this offense could look, though, running through Karl Anthony Towns? Because I agree that, yes, that was the biggest change that happened, although maybe the defensive change is bigger. But the level that Karl, 2 triple-doubles, a guy who had never had a triple-double in his career in the playoffs, and now he's got 2 of them in the last 3 games, I'm just being honest, I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't. And he didn't even get his first field goal till like the beginning of the 3rd quarter, and they were up like 70 points. Yeah.
he was going to the free throw
line. 10 for 10 from the line.
Yes.
Right. And he's been money from the line. That's true. He had a couple of 10 for 10 games in the series, I think, maybe one other. And, I do think that Jalen Brunson is awesome. Like, he's a superstar. He's great. We all know that. But he's not Michael Jordan. You can't just be like, give the ball to Jalen Brunson, everybody get the fuck out of the way, like the famous quote, from Doug Collins. Like, it's not the way it is with Jalen Brunson. He's not big enough. He's great, all-star starter, everything. He's gonna win a lot of games, can win a championship as your number 1 guy, but you gotta have some deception. You can't just give him the ball and everybody just stand around, and especially with a guy like Dyson Daniels on him, who's a little dirty and likes to grab a lot, as we saw last night. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about obviously the offensive switch and the dividends that played, but another thing that Rami and I have discussed at length is the defensive switch that Mike Brown made of putting Jalen Brunson on Dyson Daniels and how much that changed the Knicks defense, because Dyson Daniels comes up to set the screen to try to get involved in the action. Both guys could just blitz whoever he set the screen for, because you're comfortable with him getting the ball, even downhill, going to the basket. Like, fine, beat us, Dyson. And clearly that was not a recipe for success. And I can't even put into words how good their defense was last night. Like, what do you see from the Knicks over the last 3 games defensively that, made you think that stuff could change? You know what I mean? Like, expectations, everything.
I think that I really just think it was focus. And Jeff Van Gundy says this all the time. Defense is all about effort. And I think they just got so much more focused, which is crazy because of the playoffs. But this team has been around the block and they're just like, let's get to the next round. This team stinks. Like, we got this. And then they woke up and then there were active hands. They were motivated. They were switching. It was just everything just worked perfectly. And of course, like CJ McCollum, it wasn't going to stay at that level. You know what I mean? He was never played at that level, even when he was, CJ McCollum in Portland. Like, you know what I mean? That was just ridiculous. And, the last 3 games of the series, you saw, came back to turned into a pumpkin. And I think it was a lot of the Knicks just focusing on him to like, wow, we actually have to game plan for CJ McCollum. We have to figure out how to stop him, maybe wear a cup around him so he doesn't kick him in the nuts a few more times. And then Dyson Daniels is such a liability on offense that, like you said, like you could put your worst defender on him and it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, go ahead, shoot. It's one of those like, go shit, take that 3, Dyson. No, we don't care. Go ahead. And it just turned into, that turned the whole series around, and it was a good point. So, it just showed Mike Brown can adjust. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Which is incredible. And the biggest adjustment that he made is a defensive adjustment for a guy who was brought in to fix the offense is just fantastic. And they have to keep it going now. That level of focus and attention to detail has to stay, because I said this last year and I was wrong, but I truly think it this year. I think the second round is going to be the conference finals. Whoever wins the second round is going to the NBA finals. So that said, the consensus now has shifted to people thinking that this team is built to beat Boston and Knicks fans want Boston. Do you think that's the better matchup?
I do think it's a better matchup, and because the Knicks have already beat them, and people omit last year for some reason. It really drives me crazy.
It's ridiculous. Yes.
The only one because Tatum got hurt.
The Celtics got worse. They lost all their playoff experience on that team.
That's true.
And now they're younger guys. Like, do they have experience? No.
Right.
And
regular
still
season is
one
bullshit.
cold shooting night away from just being terrible. Like, when their threes don't go in, they have nothing else.
Yeah, that's their whole offense. It's been that way for years, and it's unbelievable how that the Knicks get no credit for that, and it's just the Boston and everybody hates the Knicks for clicks kind of a thing, and hey, I said it like that Family Guy thing. I got the name in there, but I forgot what I was saying, but yeah. So I do think that the Boston is a better matchup. I not worried about either team. Knicks have beaten both teams in the playoffs. Sixers are not as good as they were a couple of years ago. But they do have Maxey, who is incrediable, and they do have Edgecombe, who's going to be a really good player and is ready. And they have a lot of experience as well, and they're not going to be afraid of the Knicks. So it's like there's that whole thing, like the Hawks came in and they weren't afraid of the Knicks to start. But once the Knicks punched them in the mouth, and after game 5, they were like, they bullied us. I'm like, oh, this series is over. You know what I mean? They were like, I tweeted it. I was telling people, I was on my podcast back with fans saying it. It was like, this series is over. Once you admit to getting bullied, you're done.
Yep.
Like, that's it. Like, they're in your heads. And that's what I said on Twitter also, that if the Knicks come out and punch the Hawks in the mouth in the first quarter, they're going to cruise. Now, I didn't think they win by 75 points, but I thought they would cruise to the win, so.
How long do you think Tibbs would have had his starters in last night?
Oh, till like 3 minutes left in the fourth.
Yeah.
Probably.
That would have been infuriating. That would have been
my
bad.
God. I had a buddy of mine texting me. I had to mute him last night. He was like, "Can he get the starters out?" I'm like, "It's the second quarter. He just dove into the stands into a fan." I'm like, first of all, it wasn't a fan he dove into.
Yeah.
Like, can you just relax? Like, let's
I was
enjoy. It's not even a real game
Mitch,
anymore.
I was kind of happy Mitch got suspended or at least thrown from the game, because, like, you know what? Yeah, just go to the locker room and stay healthy.
For sure. It was like, whatever. Just get out. Don't get hurt, especially after twisting the ankle. And like, we've all been there playing sports,
exactly.
and like he was more scared than hurt. Yeah. He was more scared than hurt when he twisted it. He was like, "Oh fuck, not again!" Like, it's like, and we all thought that, and he was fine. But yeah, get out. But Dyson Daniels definitely said something to him in that scrum, because Mitch was controlling himself, hugging him for like a second, and then all of a sudden he was like, "What?"
He said Trump sucks, and then Mitch swung at him. Yeah, that's what he said.
I don't like Trump either, so that's okay.
No, Mitch does love him.
Oh, Mitch loves Trump. Oh, I thought you were taking a shot at me like the Mom Donnie thing.
No.
Okay. I'm trying to make sure we're on the same. We're aligned here.
You're automatically assuming that I'm trying to take a jab at you.
Well, you've been doing it this whole show. I mean, we've been doing this for 10 minutes.
I don't know. Lack of professionalism there from you is stunning.
For sure.
No, I think that I definitely agree with the sentiment that the Celtics are the better matchup. We saw it last year. The Knicks acquired Mikal Bridges. They paid OG. No, you're good.
Oh, okay. There we go.
The Knicks paid OG Anunoby. They traded for Mikal Bridges. You want to know why? To compete with Boston. And it's the worst kept secret that was the intention behind making that move, and for trading for Karl Anthony Towns to match up well against that 5-out offense. Like, take threes, chuck up threes. Of course, that's changed somewhat, and the Knicks aren't trying to chuck up threes as much as Boston does. But that intention was there to beat Boston. And they did it last year. And now Boston loses all these guys. They playing Baylor Shireman, Luka Garza, and not to say that these guys aren't playing as good as they possibly can, and that the Celtics,
like the best player on their team.
The Celtics are getting so much out of these guys, and that's just what they do. They're an amazing organization. I'll say it. Brad Stevens is a genius. But when I look at the Sixers, and again, I do think that Boston's the better matchup. You said the Sixers aren't as good as they were. They're better. They are. They have Paul George, who's playing extremely well, very efficient. Joel Embiid is healthier than he was that season. Maxey has taken a step. Edgecombe is a beast now. Like, I think you're not giving them, and I don't think any of us are really giving them credit or any sort of, I don't know, like, no one's looking at Philly and being like, all right, well, they could definitely beat the Knicks. I think that we can't take them lightly at this point, but I look at Philly and, like, it's a worse matchup. It is. I think the Knicks would be able to beat them. I think their odds to beat them would be much higher. But Boston is, I don't know if that makes any sense, right? Like, does that?
It does. It's the Boston mystique. It's the Celtic mystique. And it's the two players that, in Brown and Tatum, I know Tatum might be a little banged up now, but the two of them that are just like, Hall of Famers, celebrities, won a championship already. So it's the mystique and all the banners, even though they only have 2 in the last 50 years, but it's
55
TVs, right?
Yeah. It's before color TVs, exactly.
Yeah. Are you a Yankee fan though? I mean,
no, I'm a Mets fan. Mets and Jets. So I hate Boston.
Sorry,
the Patriots. No, I'm not a Yankee fan.
Tough, man. Damn.
Yeah, it's been tough. Well, that's why I'm happy about the Knicks because I don't have to worry about the Mets, and that's it. We're good. But
June
Donnie Mets, we called him actually.
Yeah. The Y rolls around. There you go.
Keep them away. Yeah. Cool. Oh man, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not worried about Philly. I mean, they're going to be a tough matchup, and I hear you. But Embiid is a shell of himself, even if he's playing. I get it, but he can't jump. He can't jump. He can't move.
Yeah,
and he can still rip guys to the ground.
Mitch is going to be a major factor in that series.
Right.
For sure.
And dude, the issue is Maxey. Like, no one could stop Maxey. He's too quick. Like, Deuce and Alvarado are going to be massive in that series. Like, that's one of the reasons why you traded for Alvarado. Like, you need a guy to play someone 94 feet. Like, he's a dog. He's good. He's got all the stamina in the world. He can go back and forth a million different times down the floor. And you've got 2 guys. It's not just Deuce. You don't have to put Deuce on him. Like, you have Alvarado. Like, Mikhail's not going to be able to match up against Max. He's going to cook him.
No, it's true. It's true. And but the Knicks are like 10, 12 deep, man. Like, they have guys that can play, that are NBA players, like Sohan and Kolek can play a little bit. Diawara is not even getting any burn.
I think we should play against Boston. If they face up against Boston, Diawara has minutes.
I agree, but the point I'm saying is that, like, the Knicks' biggest weapon is their depth, and that's why it was so frustrating when in previous seasons, not to mention the last coach, because Bryce will get upset, that they weren't going deep into their bench because they had.
But they didn't have the depth that they have this year.
No, it's better this year, yeah, for sure. But like,
we never had Landry Shamet on the bench, never, not at one point.
Yeah. But that's the other guy that's not even getting any burn. He won a series in 6. He won by 60 points, and Landry Shamet was a big part of the team all year. Didn't even get barely played until garbage time.
But that to me, that's a credit to Mike Brown that he's showing you that he's adaptable to what works in each series.
Right. No, it's true. And Jordan Clarkson was such a big pickup in the offseason.
Yeah.
He's, he followed the rotation.
For the year. That's like, we talked about this with Alex Day, and it's something that he said, like, his turnaround has been
his transformation.
Yeah, but you know what? I wasn't worried about him because he's such a grizzled vet. He's been around the block. He knows what he's doing. He didn't just fall off a cliff.
He's always been a chucker, though.
Forget it. Yeah,
been an inefficient chucker. Doesn't try on defense.
Right.
All of a sudden, he's
I get that.
Diving for loose. Like, what is going on?
He wants to win. That's why he took the deal with the Knicks on the 1-year deal, just to get in, maybe win a chip, and then go cash out next year again, because he's going to get paid next year. But somebody, he could start on a lot of teams in the NBA. So he could. By the way, like, teams.
He's not that different than he would have been one of those throw-ins like a CJ McCollum, like on a buyout type of guy, like a guy who could just score. And, if you throw him in a trade like that. And Mike Green did mention that he came here to win. So he's doing whatever it takes to win. It is not shocking. It's funny when we talk about Philly and Boston, because with Philly, you have 2 guys who are basically going to pull a James Harden at some point sooner rather than later and just quit and Embiid and playoff P. So to me,
he's been good, man.
I know,
it's a matter of time, man. It's like Harden. It's a matter of time. He's going to quit.
Exactly.
Paul George has been good. You don't really lose.
It's a matter of time, though. And then there's this weird thing with Boston that they almost wear like a badge of honor where, well, when we don't hit our threes, we can't win. We look terrible when we don't hit our threes. Like, dude, that's not an excuse. That if that's your whole game, like once every 3 games, you guys look like the worst team in the NBA, and you're like, oh, well, we didn't hit our threes. Yeah, that's the point. You guys aren't that good if you're that reliant on it. So to me, just sitting here as a Knicks fan, already advanced and just waiting on whoever you guys beat each other up in game 7 and
go to double overtime. Yeah.
It's so rare for us. Like, enjoy it.
It's nice. And 2 things. One funny thought that I thought about when you were saying, like, if we don't hit our threes, we don't win. It reminded me of the Yankees a couple of years ago, where, like, they only hit home runs. They only win when they hit home runs. And then for me, like, the only other time I felt like this, and I said this on my pod, Bad Weather Fans, last night, was that the only other time I felt like this, 2 other times, was when I was as a Jets fan, which is crazy to say, when they beat Peyton Manning 41-0 in the playoffs. It was like an armchair game. Like, the whole game was just a big party, as Joe Beningo would say. And then the other time was when in '98, when the Jets clinched the division, and they had a bye in the first round. It was like that first week of the playoffs. I'm like, what do I do? Like, this is crazy. I'm like,
I can't even imagine
grade,
that
but
world.
like, I was just like,
no one else can either. No one else can either.
Yeah.
So
No one under the age of 30 can even like picture that.
no, I know it's crazy, and it's crazy that I lived through the Jets golden era without. It's like
How many titles they win during that golden era?
None.
Yeah.
But listen, they got to the playoffs almost every year, and like they won playoff games, and they conference championships. I mean, that's a fun run. I mean, I'll take that over
people
this.
talk about the 90s Knicks, right?
Yeah, exactly. From 97 through 2010, 11, the Jets were a fun team to root for. They gave you something. Now there's nothing.
They struggle so much. Like, when we look back, it's all nostalgic. Like, that's all we had to hang on to for years with this team. And obviously the 2010 to 2014 Knicks like satisfied that in a certain way. But I think we were looking for more as fans, like trading for Melo, and
it wasn't a sustainable team, right?
Exactly. It just wasn't like the best year they had. They were carried by Tyson Chandler defensively, like anchored by him. Like, other than that, who do they have defensively? Like, Amari was a shell of himself. His knees were breaking. No, but I think that this Knicks team has transcended this New York sports realm. And now they're at the point of like, this is like a phenomenon. This is almost bordering on supernatural in terms of what we've experienced in the past. And I think that definitely impacts how we look at this team right now. And not to say that that's like some farce of like, oh, well, they're the best team in the world because we've been terrible in the past. It's like, no, the Knicks have now made the second round of the playoffs 3 years in a row. And we constantly watch this team and we're like, what the hell? Like, what? Or I guess 4 years in a row in the second round. But this team has really transcended all of our expectations. Like, how does that feel for you as, a sad sports fan with those three teams?
An old man. Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
No, I'm 41. So I lived growing up my first years as
I would have guessed 60.
Sports. What?
I would have guessed 60.
Oh, thanks. I'm just a little overweight. Have 2 kids. It happens. It ages you a little bit.
You look.
Yeah. No, I'll be fine. But I got a haircut. It makes me look skinnier. But so in 91, when that was probably the first year I can probably remember, I was like 6 years old. Like, you know what I mean? So like, 92, 93 is when I really started remembering and following it. And Ewing was drafted, 84, 85. And like, he's coming into his prime when I'm coming into my fandom, and the Knicks are taken off as this amazing powerhouse. I couldn't imagine them stink. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, the only first time I saw them be bad was on the movie Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg. Like, it was just like, it didn't make any sense. I'm like, this is like fiction. You know what I mean? And so like, it means the world right now. And I know that I didn't appreciate it as much then. Obviously I was a kid. Like, what do I know? But as like listening to WFAN as a kid, which was the only outlet back then, there was no Twitter, no nothing like that. Like, all the callers and all the hosts and everybody was complaining, Ewing can't win the big one, and all this stuff, and like hating on Ewing, he's a choke artist, et cetera, et cetera. And they didn't appreciate him until he was gone. And that's why
were they wrong? He didn't win. So
yeah, well, you weren't there, but that's okay. But he did everything he could, and he gave it his all, and the team was there, and a contender every single season. And 2 different eras he played through, and then when they traded him, it tanked the franchise. And they just made it worse, and et cetera. We don't have to go through that. But the point is that I'm trying to say is that the Knicks fans like Bryce need to appreciate Jalen Brunson in this run, because even if they don't win a championship this year, you have to enjoy yourself, because this is not this doesn't happen often. You're going to have a decade or so of success.
Loser mindset. It's a loser mindset.
It's not a loser mindset. It's not a loser mindset. You can still expect. You can still want championship wins.
With all the expectations, with all the trades they made, with giving up 5 first-round picks and a pick.
I'm not going to be satisfied. I'm not going to be happy.
We're going to be happy.
No. See,
we're
now you're putting words in my mouth
with joy and excitement.
See, you're arguing somebody else right now. You're not arguing me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you can be happy and enjoy the ride and not be miserable watching them while also and appreciating it.
I'm enjoying
you are
it.
So miserable, dude. You are the most miserable Knicks fan I've ever met. You hate Jalen Brunson, who has saved this franchise. You're mad that the Knicks. You're mad that the Knicks don't like. You're always angry at the Knicks. All your posts on
narrative that I hate Jalen Brunson.
Rami knows. That's why he's just smiling.
You got to squash it by.
Were either one of you guys at the Brunson captain ceremony?
Oh my God!
No, I don't have a dad that has hookups like you.
Yes. From the Brunson captain ceremony that you're preparing to eat if they win the championship.
I mean, like, I don't have a family that's had season tickets for 70 years. So like, how would I have that?
Put a 1 game a year if I'm lucky. No, but I just think
Yeah, but you went to that Brunson
allowed-
captain ceremony.
The idea that I'm not allowed to criticize Jalen Brunson without people saying, "Oh,
you can criticize him."
There's a difference. Yeah,
there's a way that you criticize him that is.
Well,
I'm
sorry.
I'm
sorry that struck a.
You'll
nerve.
see when you grow up. You'll see when you'll see what it's like. Like you'll see
what is
that.
supposed to mean? I'll see what
You'll see what it's like when you go through this process again, and you were waiting another 10 years for another player like Jalen Brunson, and that you realize what we had, and I should have enjoyed it a little more instead of being so miserable. I was getting text messages from a friend last night. I think I already said this. Like, he's like, "Can't get hurt, can't get hurt." I was like, "Dude, I can't text you right now. Like, you don't have to mute you." Like,
I mean, to be fair, that's
now.
a good point. You know, if one of those guys gets hurt,
you would agree with that. Of course, it was the second quarter, and like let the guys play. These are professionals. Yeah,
second quarter.
It was the end of the second quarter. He's like, "Can you get these guys out of the game?" I'm like,
not with that.
Dude,
no.
They're gonna play the third quarter. They're gonna play a little bit, and then they're gonna sit down. Like, granted, I didn't think they needed to play till the end of the third quarter. Like, I was getting a little like, all right, but at the end of the day, like, they're professionals and they're playing basketball all the time. And the Hawks at that point had given up. It was like basically a preseason game out there at that point. Like, nobody was going to get hurt. Everybody's playing for pride. Yeah. It was but nothing was like, God forbid something happened like what happened to Mitchell Robinson with the ankle.
Yeah,
and
listen,
like,
you never
Rami
know.
said it was good that they got him out. Whatever. But
yeah, once they started the third quarter and the Knicks just start pulling away even further, and I agree with you. I think you have to enjoy these times because this is the times that you're going to remember. This is like the way people talk about the 90s Knicks. We're going to talk about this team. It's so much fun. And yes, that doesn't mean we don't want them to win a championship, Bryce. We still want them to win a championship, but you could still enjoy the journey of it. And that's what's going on now. But I do think most Knicks fans are more, and this is maybe the young fan. And this is the question I have for you, because you're a real person with a real job, a wife and kids, and yet you decided to dive in. To the negativity that is Knicks Twitter. And I don't know what just happened to my camera, but
we're good.
All of that negativity, you dove head first into it. So why and how?
What do you mean? Like what? I dove into what? Like as
you decided to become Knicks Central on Twitter, become like a Knicks fan account.
Really tall of you to call me out for what you do on.
You know what? Well, I'll tell you my story. I'll tell you my story is that in college I had a Knicks blog called Knicks Central. And then after college, I wrote on different sites, blogging a lot of different places. A site called MVN, which doesn't exist anymore. It's called the Father Knickerbocker blog. And then I was also doing Knicks Central on the side. So I got on Twitter to promote my blog called Knicks Central. And I also went to school for broadcasting. I interned at Sirius a million years ago in like 2005 or 6. And for Doug, I don't know if you know Doug. I'm sure you do. But
what do you think of the Scalabrini and Isola stuff?
No, next.
No comment. No,
I
used to hate Isola, but
I can't comment on this.
So you and everyone else in sports media hates him.
No, I like Isola now. We're cool now. But so anyway, I always wanted to be in radio.
I don't know
broadcasting. I always wanted to do all this stuff. That was my itch. But like when I was interning at Sirius, I broke my foot while I was interning there, and I had to actually crutch in the snow for free to keep going. Because like, this is going to be my job. This is what I got to do. And it was awful. And then at the end of it, they offered me like a part-time job. And then I saw these people who had like these jobs there. And I was just like, they're not making a lot of money. I was like, I want to make money. Like, you know what I mean? And then I was just like, but let me just do this blogging on the side. So I ended up, falling into a job in finance, like a typical Jew. And I just grew my career in investment banking and like compliance operations roles, and kept the Twitter. And like I stopped blogging, but I kept my Twitter account, and I just would talk sports with people online. And I just love to do that. I just love sports altogether, and hip hop and culture and things like that. And like I love talking about politics and things like that with other people and just debating people and with friends as well. And I just developed a little bit of a following. People like to listen to me and hear what I had to say. And then in 2019, during the ties back to the name of your podcast. 2019, when the Kyrie and Durant summer was going on, I was actually in Montreal for work and staying in a hotel in Montreal. And I was like following Twitter, trying to find out what was happening. It was like this June 30th. And I went down to the gym, and I didn't want Durant. Once Durant tore his Achilles, I was like, I don't want Durant. I don't want anything to do with this. I want to stay away from this. This is not going to work. We need to pivot and do something else. I still wanted Kyrie. I was wrong about that, but like whatever. And I yelped when they got Durant, when the Nets got Durant, because I was so happy. And then when they pivoted to like Randall and Bobby Portis, I was like, oh my God, they're being smart. And I was like so excited. And then I wasn't giving the Nets their flowers, and that angered Nets fans and Nets Twitter, and it got to my
12 of them. The 12.
Yeah, but there was a good amount, and it got to Mike Biseglia's Twitter account somehow on the algorithm, and we went back and forth, and he invited me on his podcast, and we just had like a connection, and we did really. And I went on his podcast first time I was on a podcast, and I went on. I did radios and stuff like that all through college and stuff like that, so it wasn't like hard to talk radio stuff, but like, I did it, and I had a doctor's appointment at work, obviously, and took the morning off and did the podcast, and it did really well. And like some of the videos, it broke like 20,000 views and things like that. And we're like, whoa, we got something here. And then Mike invited me to WFN at Hudson Street to do a couple shows. We did a show, and then we interviewed Richard Jefferson, who would tease me back and forth because I was like public enemy number one to Nets fans. And me and Richard Jefferson became friends. We were texting each other, and he came on the show. And Mike was like, we got to do something. I was like, no, I can't. I'm engaged right now. I was like, I can't do this. My wedding was in May of 2020, and I was like, March hit, yeah, and COVID hit, and
you do it on Zoom?
No, so I was supposed to be married in May of 2020, but then I was like, I told Mike I can't do a podcast with him right now because I don't have the time, because you guys know engagement times are crazy times.
I don't know.
Time for them. You have friends, I'm sure, or family that
I know,
no.
And well, you will one day if you ever get married and somebody wants to marry you. And then so like we went back and forth
all the time.
and then you deserve that. But so right when COVID hit and my wedding got postponed, and we had the 2-year engagement to finally get married in December of 21, and I told Mike, let's do it. And we started Bad Weather Fans in COVID, and we grew it. And, been on WFN, hosted a show on WFN with Rami as my producer. Yeah. And then, been on Fox 5, I've been on SNY, been on Sirius now twice. And it's just something I love to do. And what I hope to do, it's like scratching that itch of like, if it blows, it blows. If it doesn't, it's nice, a little fun side job that I make some money on. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, It's not a salary where I'm paid, but it's
all
like,
right. Well,
something.
you didn't answer the question.
No, I like that. That was a good.
That is
like
the
that.
question.
His entire life
That's the
story,
answer.
but he didn't say why the hell you are so polarizing.
I have no idea why I'm so polarizing. I honestly have no idea. I just say because I'm honest. I just say my opinion. I think that's why I say my opinion. I don't care if I anger a stranger on the internet. Like, it doesn't affect my day-to-day life. I'm not trying to be friends with people. I'm not trying to like to be nice. Like, I'm just saying exactly what I feel and how I would talk in person to another person. And if that bothers you, then I really don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, listen, we understand that. I'm more or less asking where the hell these takes come from.
It's my honest opinion. What takes? What takes? Let's talk. What takes?
I don't want to do it.
People say that all the time. They're like, "Oh, your takes are trash," and then I'm like,
"Want me to go back?"
And nobody has anything to say.
And see all the times that I commented like whatever, like you're an idiot or stuff like that.
Yeah,
I came at you hard after Game 3. I remember I was fighting with like everyone I knew.
Yeah.
Even
like, all I did was I think
on
what's her face's, I forgot her name's account. She's whatever her name is, who does all those Instagram videos, and she was like, and she was like, why did the Knicks run this play at the end of the game? And the play at the end of what was it, Game 3, where they didn't get the shot off, and all it was a video of a clean play, a full shot clock of Towns setting a screen for Brunson. I'm like, well, because it was an inbounds pass, like you couldn't do that.
Yeah, you were
and
wrong,
then Bryce comes at me like, do you really agree with these takes that you have? I'm like, bro, like what? It wasn't.
There was
an
12
pass.
seconds left, and you're saying that wasn't enough time to set a screening roll. Apparently,
no.
So,
what happened in that play, in my opinion, was once Towns caught the ball, that play was dead. And whatever they ran and to set the screen.
Because it was get Brunson the ball and get the fuck
right,
out
and
of
he
there.
ran over here and they covered it, and the Hawks saw the play because it was obvious. And once Towns got the ball and he gave it back to Hart, he should have turned around and went to the hoop. He was fucking wide open. But instead, he ran to go set a screen that he couldn't even set. That was probably a foul, too. And then it just turns into this whole nonsense play that doesn't work. That's why it wasn't like a clean pick and roll, like with a full shot clock and like relaxation.
It's difficult to get guys into that mindset of going to score when it's just.
I'm just glad we're not talking about that play for the next 6 months. Because
it doesn't matter. It's a footnote.
Yeah,
but listen, we're gonna enjoy Game 6 for the rest of our lives. We're gonna remember that game, the massacre in Atlanta. Just even if they don't win a championship, we're gonna remember it. Just like we remember the Larry Johnson 4-point play. Like I can
Boston
tell
game
you
last
exactly.
year, DiVincenzo's 3 against Philly.
Perfect. You remember who you were with, what you were doing,
like,
what happened in that moment. Even if they didn't win a championship, and Bryce can poo-poo it all he wants. It doesn't matter.
I got an idea for you, and it's free. And this is the best idea I'm going to give you is you should just create an account that only goes back at Bryce. A
Bryce Central?
No, name of the account, Get Off My Nickerson.
Oh.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like KD, Get Off My Dickerson.
I get it.
Yeah.
came close to something else there. So no, I mean
it was a good one.
not-
That was a good one.
My mind did not go there, but all
I
right.
think my clearly my mind.
We'll
is
remember
fucked up.
these moments, and that's why I'm saying to enjoy it. I'm not saying don't.
I
expect
just
the
don't
championship.
I don't understand where this.
Because I
came
remember
from.
the
Like,
4-point
I'm not
play,
able
I
to
was-
enjoy this. Like I
remember
an
every
amazing
second
night
of
last
that
night.
moment. Yeah.
I had an amazing night. I
Right.
was with all my friends. Like everyone wanted to come over. I'm like they better play well, or it's not gonna be
Everyone,
enjoyable for all of you.
your next door neighbor, you have no friends. No, I'm kidding. Everyone came over. Everyone. The three people.
Well, I was really messed up. How would you say that?
Yeah, I know.
It's not cool. You're guest on my podcast, and you're gonna come over and say,
Yeah. Okay. You've been attacking.
I
us
wasn't
all the time.
invited. I know that.
I don't know what you're talking about. So I think no. I mean, I think it's BS that everyone believes this about me. Like, listen, I'm anxious. Like the very
And
about
that's
these
fine.
games.
I
Like,
get it.
it's like the end of the world. But I think I've been able, like, even ask Rami. Like, I was pretty positive during the series. Like, even after game 3, I was like, this is a good thing. That's what I said.
Yeah.
And then you were right, man. It turned into
I guess
the
I said it after game 2. It just
Right
happened
after game
later.
2. Game 3, we were a little bit panicked.
Well,
and I-
Everybody was
What
nervous.
happened
I was
in
nervous
game
too. I'm
It
not
needed,
saying
it
that I was
needed to
confident.
happen. It
I
needed
was
to happen again for
Yeah.
them to be like, all right, well.
But they
one's
can't do it
getting the
again.
ball.
They can't let that happen again where they don't need to learn the lesson a second time.
They're
That's
already
the
there.
one
They're
thing.
already there. So
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I listen. I'm very positive about the Knicks all season. I was saying like the regular season doesn't mean anything, and like we lost the game on January 11th to whoever. Doesn't matter, the Kings and the Hornets and whoever. Like, oh, the season's over. This proves that they can't be a championship. It was all nonsense because I knew this team was so talented and they can flip that switch, and they did. But they needed, like you said, Bryce, it was a good point. Like they needed to
kick in the ass.
Kick in the ass, and they got it, and it woke them up. I mean, Pistons got their kick in the ass, and it might not work, for them because it is what it is. But the Knicks,
I think they'll beat Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably will.
Wagner injuries.
Yeah.
But
And Jonathan Isaac.
yeah. But the point I'm saying is that, and then I'll whatever. But like it was like after game 3, I was nervous, even though I was so positive all season. I was like, oh my god, this is it could be a disaster. I'm like, this is not good because CJ McCollum, guys, we've seen guys go out of their mind and have dominant playoff series and not like and go the whole way and then maybe flame out the next round. But like they have that series that they just have this team's number and they go. Like Jerome James got paid by the Knicks for having that amazing series for the Sonics. Like he went nuts in one series, and then Isaiah Thomas is like, "Oh, this is my guy," But like that didn't work out very well. So like that can happen. So like I was expecting CJ to keep going, and I'm so glad that the Knicks just shut him down. They realized that they had to game plan for him, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not talking about this series any longer. That it's over, it's behind us. Because guess what? Because we enjoyed these games, so we wanted more of them.
That's
so we didn't want it to be over. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you for coming on. It's crazy that you engage intentionally with Nets fans every day. I'll say that much. I ran into 3 crying Nets fans, dweebs, 3 of the 12 in the newsroom today at WFAN, and I'm just like, you guys, especially Evan, like, shut up, Evan. You're Knicks season ticket holder. You're making money off of this. He's like, yeah, but I'm a sports fan. I'm like, aren't you a U fan? Aren't you a fan of yourself and making money? Like, why are you?
You got another round. Yeah, you should be happy. Yeah, no, I get it.
And this was off the air. This wasn't like a show or a shtick. He was literally angry, yelling about the Knicks in the newsroom this morning.
Well, that's why I love Evan. And that's why I love Evan. And like growing up, like when I was working in my 20s and 30s, like
I think
office jobs. Yeah, and well, Evan actually went to high school with me. He was a year older than me in my high school.
Oh, really?
High school.
Wow.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but we weren't friends. Like we were, but we were different grades, and we
Evan
classes,
really
gym
have
classes
any friends in high
together.
school.
Everyone was probably a nerd.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the coolest guy in
Still
high school
is.
either, but like, still, it was just like whatever.
Not shocking.
And thanks. And then what was I saying? But whatever. So we reconnected through Mike Biseglia because he's obviously close with Evan, and then we realized, hey, and Evan is one of the realest guys on the radio, and that's why him and Joe, I used to like plan my days when I worked in like lower level jobs in banking, where like, okay, from 10 to 12. I'm going to do the mindless stuff so I can listen to Joe and Evan like every single day. That was my thing. And once Evan and Joe were off the 10 o'clock thing, my production went down completely at that time, like, cause it was bad, but
Evan's back at 10. He loves it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I do too. Cause it's like the middle of the day. It's like when I want to hear something I want to hear, you know what I mean? But that's whatever. It is what it is.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. If there's anything else you got to plug, do it now.
He's already done enough.
Yeah, no, Bad Weather Fans podcast, Knicks and Nets podcast. We talk about all sports, but it's a Knicks and Nets podcast. at Nick Central on Twitter. I just started Instagram I have an Instagram for like my personal Instagram, but I started a professional Instagram at Alex B Real, and then on TikTok I think of Alex B Real 1, and just trying to grow and see what happens, and not quitting my day job, but having fun pissing Bryce off. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on, and apologies for Bryce's antics, but
it's all good.
My antics. He said I don't have any friends.
Yeah, it's all love. It's all love.
All right, let's
go
Knicks.
Yeah. All right, guys.